first on the hot seat this morning here on the College Basketball Preview Show, is the tallest by far. We had this is not a joke, Patrick. When we set up the cameras yesterday, we said, well, we will have one issue. One particular coach that's coming in significantly taller than the others. That is, of course, Loyola coach Tavaras Hardy, who is in studio with us this morning. Coach, it's great to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
No, thanks for having me. You would think by now it's used to Baltimore traffic, but still not there yet.
Chicago isn't great, right?
No, Chicago, D.C., Atlanta, none of my 4 spots have been great.
Coach, we were just about to lead into a conversation about Bobby Knight, and you, of course, played in the Big Ten,
Yep.
and I'm assuming you went up against Bobby
Yep.
Knight during your time playing at Northwestern. Your reflections, what it was like going up against him as an opponent, and the impact that he had on the sport.
No, I mean, it's obviously Coach Knight was a legend. I grew up in the Midwest, and so knew all about Big Ten basketball, and he was the godfather. He was the one that really made the Big Ten a basketball powerhouse with those 80s Indiana team. Was recruited by Indiana. Didn't talk to him much, though. He didn't talk much to recruits. He made the decisions, but was talking to Mike Davis a lot at the time, and was considering them as well as a couple other Big Ten schools before I made my decision. And I'll say my freshman year, we played against them the very first time, and close game. I think we ended up losing in overtime at home. And our students started a chant, "Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?" And he took offense to it. He thought they were.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, he thought they were talking about one of his kids. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the game, he and Kevin O'Neill, our head coach, who was a little bit nutty as well, get into a scuffle. My freshman year, first time going against Indiana.
Man, you got the whole experience.
Yeah. And so Dane Fife and I, we're sitting there, we're talking because we knew each other from high school, and we're sitting there, talking after the game. We look up and we see our coaches scuffling at the scorer's table. But Coach Knight, he's a legend. Got a chance to play against him my first 2 years before he moved on from Indiana. But he's awesome man. Everybody I know that went there and played for him really appreciates what he did for him.
Before we get to your team, can I ask, is there a coach over the years that you would have been most likely to have gotten into a scuffle with? Is there anybody that, man, we might have ended up chatting after the game a little bit?
No. I love the league. Love the coaches that get a chance to coach against. And like you said, I got a size advantage on most of them. So, I don't want to intimidate anybody. I don't want to have that perception of me. But no, it's sometimes you get in a heated moment conversation, but it's very rare.
All right, let's get into your team. Why don't we do that? We'll get into the Greyhounds. And I'll start. Patrick informed me before the show it's not quite as much front court depth as I thought. I thought you had both Illiches back for this season, but still, Faure, DK, and one of the Illiches, I would think that starts where your strength is, that there's pretty good – you got to feel pretty good about your front court.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are experienced, legit size. I was telling the team we go down to play Florida next week. In the backcourt, we're small, smaller than them, but in the front court, we're similar size. Different type players, but those guys got to be what I call a dominant front court. Still working towards it. Still working towards getting their confidence up in that role. Milos just coming back off of basically a year and a half of being off. So getting him back confident. The opportunity to play the two of the three together at all times. We ended the season playing Golden and Alonzo together a lot. And so I don't want to give up on that just because Milos is back. I think there could be a three-man rotation there.
I was about to say, you're going to play one of them at three? Like, you're going to have all three of them on the floor together?
Hey, if we put our zone in, which we haven't yet, it's possible.
Dion Perry obviously had a very good freshman year, came on stronger towards the end. I think kind of the way that you would hope to see him play, kind of taking more and more ownership. What have you seen from him in the offseason, in your foreign tour, and what's next for him as he heads into his summer?
Yeah, Dion is a tremendous talent. Sometimes people see his size and they understand he's talented, but they think he's limited. And to me, I think he's still just scratching the surface in terms of his understanding of the game, in terms of his ability to lead the team and be an extension of the coach on the floor. That's the stuff I'm talking to him a lot about, because I think he can be a high scorer, a high assist guy, but also be a cerebral point guard that can run a team. And that's what we're working for. He's still a sophomore. He's still a long way to go, but tremendous talent. He cares. He wants to win. He works on his game, and the guys like playing with him. So just want to make sure that we keep pushing him to be better. He's not even close to how good he can be.
Loyola coach Tavaras Hardy in studio with us on our college basketball preview show. I think I told you this, but my father came out and watched a game with me last year, and the first time he saw Dion, he said, "That's Muggsy."
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, that's a lofty,
Right.
That's pretty far up there, but I understand the thought process and the comparison. Dion, of course, is a local kid from Mount Carmel. You added another local kid this year in a transfer in D'Angelo Steins from Mount St. Joe, who came in from Old Dominion, where he didn't play a ton, but I noticed he got some good run in the exhibition game and had a nice night. Is that perhaps a sign of maybe there being a larger role for D'Angelo with you guys this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a big part of his attraction to come to Loyola. Is we were trying to get him out of high school, and he saw an opportunity to come in and make an impact, have a bigger basketball role, and for us, he's a great basketball fit. D'Angelo can do a lot of different things. He can shoot, he can dribble, he can pass, he can play make, he can defend, and it's been fun adding him. He played really well over in Spain. He's played well in both our closed door scrimmage and our exhibition. And again, he's getting better. He's still learning. He's learning the system, learning the way we do things, and it's exciting for him because we ask him to do a lot. Old Dominion is a little bit more of a role player deal for him, and we're asking him to be one of our playmaking guys.
I know last year when you brought in Tyson Commander, came in a little later than most of the freshmen,
Right.
was probably a little behind just for obvious reasons, and then saw kind of an uptick towards the end. Certainly seemed like a more settled player. And watching the exhibition game the other night, he looked like a guy that wasn't out there thinking about too
Right.
much. He was just playing. Is that a kind of a fair assessment? And
Yeah.
how much of a jump has he made here over the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, I mean, he too was tremendous in Spain, and doing some things differently than he was asked to do in the past. Like, Tyson can really score the ball. He can get to the basket. He's probably our best at getting to the rim, but he's also a capable shooter. And what I'm saying, similar to him and the rest of the guys, like, I just want them all to see the game and use the total package of the game. That's what our offense allows. That's what our system requires. And I told him yesterday, I think if I was a player, that's what I would want, not to be put in a bubble. And so when I think about Tyson and all of his tools, I want him to attack the growth in all of those things. And you guys just asked about 3 Baltimore Catholic League MIAA, first team guys. That's what we have. And if they do what they're supposed to do, that trio could really, combine with our front line and then a couple of senior guards. That group can really be successful for us.
Is it fair to say that it's not likely to be that one individual wing or guard is sort of carrying the load scoring-wise, but instead, like as you point out, those 3 guys maybe can make somebody else steps in, and on a given night, it's kind of their night?
Yeah, that's what we're working towards. And we haven't gotten there yet. So if anybody in the preseason is watching this, Florida, if you're watching, we haven't gotten there yet. But that's what I'm trying to get these guys to see and understand. No one, I mean, you can be super aggressive, that's fine, but we can be aggressive for each other across the board, not just our guards, our bigs, be aggressive to score, but be willing to kick. Our guards be aggressive to score, we'll be willing to pass it in, pass to each other. This could be a high volume scoring team if they embrace that, and everybody will be a part of that. We don't have many limited guys, and so that's a fun part, but it's also a challenge because everyone feels like it's their moment. And so getting them to understand that when it really is and when it needs to be you helping somebody else, that's basketball.
You had a few staff changes this year, but one that certainly stood out was hiring Mike Brennan, the former American coach. played at Princeton, so has experience with that system. Coached at Georgetown like you did, not at the same time, I don't believe.
Yeah.
How much of an impact has he made? And just knowing his kind of South Jersey sense of humor, how much has that sort of impacted things as well?
Yeah, no, Mike he's awesome. Really, really excited to have him with us. I was trying to remember if when he asked about any coaches I've ever wanted to fight, if we had any moments when he was a head coach at American. But no, he's awesome. He provides for me a level of, okay, he's done this. He's been in this chair, and we have some similar background, but we don't think about things exactly the same. And that's, I love it. Love to hear his opinion. Ultimately, I have to make the decision if I'm a rock with it or not. But a lot of times I do, because I know what he's been through. I know the type of person he is, and I know how he thinks about the game and thinks about the guys. And so he's been a tremendous impact on me already and our guys already. And again, I tell him every other day, like, you're the only one that beat Colgate last year. And then the second game was really close. And so, obviously, I as they were divvying up the scouts, I said, Mike got that one. But no, he's awesome, and the whole staff. I'm really excited about this year's staff. They've been tremendous for us, and I think it helps me sleep at night, knowing that I got this type of experience with Mike. Matt Miller, John Cobb is entering his second year with us, and Ricky Hernandez, our new director of ops, was an assistant coach at Hopkins. So they've been through it, they've seen it, and they're really helping our guys get better.
You mentioned Colgate. Tavaras Hardy in studio with us this morning from Loyola. As he mentioned, the season opens up Monday night at Florida, and then the home opener the following Wednesday against Binghamton. Colgate's kind of had this stranglehold, right?
Yep.
Like, how do you break through? How do you take, a couple years ago, you guys were really close, right? How do you, what's the difference for this team to take that next step and get back towards the top of the Patriot League?
Yeah, it's interesting because, you get the job, and we really hit the ground running from a recruiting standpoint. I think we had a top 60 recruiting class, which was not common in the Patriot League at the time. We felt pretty good about how we were progressing. The guys I inherited turned out to be pretty good. The Andrew Costecas of the world, the Kevon Scotts, and so we were building the right way. Obviously things happen, but this team is different from that one. And so we split with Colgate those first 2 years, and they still won the league. They kind of stretched out on us a little bit over the last few years, and to catch them, you can't be worried about them all the time. You gotta build the best program you can build. And for me, the next step for us is get out of that jumbled pack at the end of the year, where we're coming into the last week, and we're watching everybody else's scores. They're watching our scores. And literally, I think there was a 4 or 5 way tie, but everybody else was within a game or two for the up or down seed. And you just got to get out of that jumble. You got to get to a point where you're in the top 3 with the bullet, as they used to say in the old days. You're not worried about the last week of the season. You solidified that you're going to get home games going into the conference tournament. Maybe not all home games, but at least you're getting a couple. And then you give yourself a chance to win. And I think that's what it's going to take to catch a team like Colgate, is give yourself a chance down the stretch of the season, not to have to win 4 road games to beat them.
I think it's a 3-man freshman class for you guys this season. Would you mind kind of diving into those guys? I know Jordan Stemke played a bit in the exhibition game the other night, and I know Troy Cicero and Matt Gray. Our guys probably further down the road.
Yeah, definitely our most athletic freshman class by far. At the 3 different positions, and they are 3 very different guys. Right now, Matt and Troy are out, a little banged up, but Jordan he's the best athlete of the 3. Learning. He's a local kid from Baltimore County. Went to prep school last year. Just learning the game the way that it has to be played at the collegiate level. And once he does, I tell him, and I mean this because that was sort of the knock on Andrew Kostecka coming out of high school, was just sort of his understanding of the game. And he averaged 20 points for us in his last 2 years, led the Patriot League in scoring.
Seemed to understand the game.
Yeah. I think Jordan has a lot of similar skill sets, right? Troy and Matt. Troy is a lead guard. He's actually from my hometown. I've always wanted to recruit a kid from my hometown, but it had to be the right kid. He was good enough from a basketball standpoint, but he's a phenomenal young man. He was on a scooter the whole Spain trip because he hurt himself, and was a true warrior on that trip. Our host, after it was over, said, "Troy Cicero is my MVP of any team I've ever coached or taken on one of these tours." But he can play. He can make plays, and like I said, his athleticism really is going to allow him to defend and add a different dimension to us. And then Matt Gray Long, he's close to coming back. He has a versatile skill set, so I think he'll be able to really help us. He's like a Swiss Army knife. We can play in a lot of different spots.
All right, so now I've never asked you this. Are you a Bears fan, Coach?
That is a great question, and there's so many layers to this answer. Yes, I am a diehard Bears fan.
How you doing? Do you need a hug?
Well, that's the thing. And my wife and I made this agreement about a few different things. Like when I left Northwestern to go to Georgetown, Northwestern's my alma mater, so I could still watch them because I yell at the TV. But you don't work there anymore. So she's like, Northwestern's fine. But when I left Georgetown to go to Georgia Tech, she said Northwestern only. You can't yell at the TV about Georgetown.
Okay.
And so it's the same thing with the Bears. If they stink, I don't watch.
So when was the last time that you watched?
Yeah, it's been a while. Lovey and Lovey Smith. I think we had
Ryan Urlacher.
Yeah,
right.
No, we had Devin Hester. That's the last time.
Yeah, it's been a minute. That is a tough existence. I was actually hoping that you were going to tell me that you agreed that you were going to become a fan of the next city, and then I was like, what? Not Washington?
Yeah. No, so I am allowed to root for the team of the city I live in. That's a part of it, but only if they're good too.
Yeah. I was gonna say a little bit better in this stop than some of the places that you.
Oh no, the Falcons went to the Super Bowl when we were down there.
Yeah, it was all good right up until they got a 28-3 advantage.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, the season gets underway on Monday night on the road down at Florida, and then 2 weeks from last night, the first home game against Binghamton for the Greyhounds. Coach, it's always good to see you, sir. Thank you for coming in and spending time with us this morning. And hopefully we actually got you on the screen. Hopefully the camera worked out. And then when Pat comes in, we'll have to, adjust it.
I was trying to slouch a little bit, to be honest. I was thinking about Pat.